What's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look today at some rumors around the New York Islanders and the Edmonton Oilers. Could the Islanders end up getting Johnny Gaudreau this summer? That will be the highlight of today's video. We'll get to that later. But we're going to start off looking at the Edmonton Oilers. There's some excitement around the organization. Because this is a younger team that's actually doing well. Again, I just jinxed it. We'll see what happens in the Battle of Alberta. It's probably over by the time you guys get to this video. But the Edmonton Oilers have a lot of younger guys. Now that Bakersfield is done with their playoffs, there's some guys that might get called up. Stuart Skinner, Dmitry Samarukov, Brad Malone, Tyler Benson, Marcus Niemelainen, Philip Broberg, and Vincent Desharnais. So that's exciting for this team, bringing in some younger guys that could kind of work their way into the lineup depending on what happens. And this is another thing that's kind of interesting. Looking into the summer plans of the Oilers, this is kind of an interesting rumor. This comes from Kevin Kurz, and he lists the Edmonton Oilers, the Calgary Flames, and the Dallas Stars as potential fits for Josh Bailey, who is expected to be moved this offseason. The Islanders trying to move out some salary once again this summer. Last year, it was Jordan Eberle and Devon Toews. The year before that, they had moved on from some contracts. It never ends, and the Islanders are in another spot where Josh Bailey, who ended the season on the first line of the Islanders, could be on his way out this summer. Now, truthfully, I think the Oilers are a really good fit for Josh Bailey. You look at their top six: Evander Kane, pending that he signs, Evander Kane, McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent-Hopkins, and Puljujarvi. That's pretty solid. And you still have guys like Yamamoto on the third line. Things are going pretty well for them. I think the emergence of Yamamoto and Puljujarvi is critical, and it makes this not necessarily the trade that they have to make, but they could make next year to get better. And especially if they have a good playoff run, they might want to invest in the team more and say, listen, this guy has some good experience. Bailey scored some really big goals in his NHL career for the Islanders. He's been an Islander since he was drafted in 2009. That's right, that was the year before John Tavares was even drafted on Long Island. So you talk about, Bailey has been a long time bleeding blue and orange for the Islanders. The Flames do make sense as well. Again, I think depending on what happens with Toffoli and some of their other guys, Johnny Gaudreau, and the Dallas Stars. I think the Stars is a really interesting fit. Because it depends, again, a lot on what happens with around their team. They signed Joe Pavelski, so Pavelski's locked in. But they need some wingers. You look at this team, you have, at the end of the season, Robertson, Hintz, Pavelski, Nemesnikov, Ben, and Sagan. I don't know if Nemesnikov or Ben are top six forwards, so it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if they were to decide to bring in Bailey, who could also play center and wing. He normally plays wing, but he has been known to play center. They are lacking a little bit in depth. Marian Studnik, who they picked up on waivers from the Devils toward the end of the season, he's on the roster. Michael Raffl is getting old, so I don't know how much longer you're really going to get him, playing at a high level. So the Stars seem like, in terms of lack of depth and maybe more urgency to get Josh Bailey, I do see the Dallas Stars maybe as the best fit. I'm kind of changing it on the fly here. Maybe Dallas is the best fit for Josh Bailey, but let me know what you guys think of that. The other big rumor is from Larry Brooks of the New York Post. He normally does Rangers stuff, but he commented maybe on the Islanders here being in the mix if they were to acquire a guy like Johnny Gaudreau in free agency. That would be a huge addition for the New York Islanders. Very not like Lou Lamoriello, and that's the only reason I hesitate here. And again, Larry Brooks has thrown out some interesting stuff before, but listen, if the Islanders are in on Johnny Gaudreau, I think most Islanders fans would be on board with that. And again, kind of leaning back to what we were just talking about with Josh Bailey, they would have to move his salary cap in order to make that trade. In order to acquire Gaudreau in free agency, they have to move some money, and that would probably come at the cost of guys like Josh Bailey. Overall, though, I think the Islanders are going to be in the mix for a lot of guys. I've already made a video last week. Riley Smith, Jonathan Marchessault from Vegas. I think the Islanders could be in the mix for them. I've talked about even guys. I think Forsberg's going to go to Boston or Philadelphia or one of those teams. But if Gaudreau is going back to the East Coast, maybe if it's not with the Flyers, a team that's maybe not that great, maybe he wants to go to a better situation on the East Coast. The New York Islanders definitely have that. They also have a really good team that has gone to the conference final, the past 2 seasons to, prior to this one. So maybe that's the fit that Gaudreau ends up going to. With that said, I think it'll be very interesting what the Islanders do with guys like Josh Bailey and who they acquire to kind of bring in to add some more scoring punch to this team. Because again, Bailey is more of a passer. He's super frustrating in the sense that Bailey can wow you 1 minute and he has never been able to receive a pass in his NHL career. So it's been just, he's on opposite sides of the spectrum sometimes, which makes it very infuriating. But he also scores the big overtime goals as well, and he kind of makes up for it. He even has his own chant from the Islanders fans. It's pretty interesting. So guys, that is it for today's video. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.